Hi guys, welcome back to another lecture. So today we're going to be talking about how a bomb explodes. So first things first, if we were to explode a nuclear bomb on the moon, one, there would be no mushroom cloud. Two, there would be no shockwave. It would be because the moon has no atmosphere to stop it from it. So it would just be imploding, and from Earth it would just look like a tiny star on the moon quickly fading away. But those on the other side of the moon would experience moonquakes because it makes the ground shake on Earth, so why would it not shake the ground on the moon? But it's also because the moon is smaller than Earth. So, it kind of makes sense. So, yeah, because there's no atmosphere, it would just be like, if you weren't to be on the moon, you would just see this, like a ball, for example, like this, like a spear, like half of a perfect spear explode. But any curious astronauts that saw it would experience a small shock wave. And I know I said there would be no shock wave, but I didn't say it would be like a little minor one. So that means, because that's true, let's get to why the bomb explodes. When you hit the ignite button, two chemicals like carbon dioxide and hydrogen combine. It creates like the elements in a star's core, and it reaches stage 2 at the exact time of a star it's the exact same time. It takes the exact same time of a star imploding on itself, and its core collapses, making a supernova. But that's for another video. But anyways, because it would take that kind of time, stage 2, that special, it's like nitrogen combining with more nitrogen. Then on its way to stage 3, which is and it takes the exact same time of a supernova turning into a black hole. So again, that's for the same video, and it's for another video. So that is because when it runs through a flame, making it explode, because it reaches a piece of TNT, and the special chemicals combine in the TNT and combine with the nitrogen, making a huge explosion. But because it's not on Earth, because if Earth had no atmosphere, one, we would all die because there's no air. But also, besides that, if Earth did not have an atmosphere, it would be like a huge half of a spear. Because if you were trying to move the moon into Earth with a nuke, it's as hard as trying to move. Scientists have proved that it's as hard as moving a skyscraper with your breath. So even if you were to explode 10 billion tons of TNT, it would only move the moon like this far from its orbit. But because if the moon had, because the moon, if the moon was on a course to collide with Earth, it would never make impact with Earth. Instead, when it reaches the Roche limit, after huge floods have happened, Earth's Roche limit, aka the gravity, gets so strong there, it will rip the moon apart, making all the moon dust orbit around the Earth, making a ring system. So, but again, I'm just going to talk about that in another video. So let's get back. So, because the reason it is so big is because there is no air on the moon. So when it explodes, there is no air to stop the big spear. So all the moon debris would either crash onto Earth, float into the asteroid belt between Mars and Jupiter, or it would crash, or it would not even escape the moon's gravity and pull all that back.
Question. What's an asteroid belt?
Good question. The asteroid belt is a belt that both the planets Jupiter and, because Jupiter's gravitational force mostly keeps the asteroid belt in place. But Jupiter doesn't even make a percent of the actual solar mass. The sun is the biggest object in the solar system. But anyway,
Our solar system.
But I'm just gonna talk about all the space stuff in another video. So, because there's dwarf planets in the asteroid belt, but I'm not gonna talk about that because I'm just gonna talk about that in another video. But here's a difference about on Earth. There's a mushroom cloud and a shock wave. There's a shock wave because there's an atmosphere. But on the moon there is no atmosphere, making it just being a spear. But just half of a spear. But again, any astronauts that see it, because the only way you would be safe from the minor shock wave would be because the only way you would be safe from that minor shock wave is if you would have to be in a space station in retrograde orbit around the moon. And retrograde is another word for opposite. And retrograde orbit means it's in the opposite orbit of which the moon is rotating. So this is the moon. This is the space station. They would have, because the sun makes one rotation at once every 27 days. That's also how long it takes for the moon to orbit the Earth. But that's besides the point. Anyways, that's all for today's video. Bye.